In this lecture, I want to take a look at how do we do blue ocean strategy from nose to tail, using a case of a company that used the process in a global effort, people from around the world working together in a fairly short amount of time, using the same approach we'll be using. So I want to show you how you'll be putting the pieces together, pulling the frameworks and tools together, what makes blue ocean strategy tick, and how do we achieve value innovation. So I just want to introduce this quick case study of something you're probably familiar with. This company started in 1890. They made games, card games, dice games, board games. That was what they started with in the 1890s. And as time goes ahead, by the 1960s, 70s, and especially the 80s, they started moving more and more into electronic games. And so by the 80s and 90s, they were a massive video console maker. So they'd make video consoles where you play the games on, and the video games. But the problem was they had steep competition. They had Microsoft making Xbox. They had Sony creating the PlayStation. They had enormous amounts of money, and our medium-sized company could not compete. So we began with a visual awakening. What's the need to change? How do we change? What are we up against? It's the beginning of our work, where we'll go deeper into this, of course, as we move forward. But now we're looking at how do we change ourselves? This is visual awakening. I'll go deeper into this next. We go with a very simple question. How does the video game console industry attract customers? Very simple answer. It was they go to the target market, kids, and they say, what do you want? Of course, kids say, give me more graphics, give me more violence, give me more speed, give me more games. So it's more and more and more. So of course, Microsoft and PlayStation, they gave more and more and more. More buttons, more speed, more graphics, more violent games, more single action player games. Whatever the market asked for, they gave, and it became this kind of nuclear war of them competing against each other. Just rows and rows and rows. This is a strategy canvas. We'll go deeper into it in a bit, but this is essentially the x-axis is the things you compete on. The price. This is for a chair. This is not for video games. It's ergonomics, product range, the things you spend money on to attract customers. That is our key issue here. Then we look at our offering. So how much or how little we offer. That creates a value curve. When you connect the dots, that's your value curve. And your competitor's offering. Very basic introduction. We're going to go much more deeper into it as we move forward. But this is the one for the competition of our little company. Compete on price, high resolution graphics, non-gaming functionality, so DVDs, things of that nature, processing power, online games, design aesthetics, how many game titles. Now, what was happening with Microsoft and Sony, they were having this war. So you see here that the Xbox at this stage, that they captured it. So as a strategy canvas is a snapshot of and every industry changes, so you have to continuously look at how much or how little does each offering compete on, and how is it relative to competition. So here what happened is that Microsoft is giving more in online games and processing power. Within 6 months, Sony would be right there. So it's binomial. They can only go up and down. You can't change the key competitive factors. In traditional strategy, you don't change the key competitive factors on the bottom. You can just pretty much go up and down on each. So our mid-sized company, they could never compete in this world. They could have a very low cost offering, but it would be a marginal offering. It would get a very small part of the market. They did not want to do that. So the next step is the buyer experience audit. Now, traditionally, we look at what are the pain points of the core customer, the guy on the right. What are your problems finding it? Who's competing against you? Sorry, this is kind of going crazy. So at the buyer experience audit, we look at the guy on the right traditionally. What are the pain points of your offering? Where are the snags that we can kind of fix? It's trying to make it a little bit more smoother, but when you really want something, you don't see the pain points. So we have to, of course, look at the buyer experience and where the pain points are for the guy on the right, but it's more important to look at the non-customer, the woman on the left. Well, we found our biggest non-customer groups in the video game industry were the elderly, that is disposable income and time, and younger kids, under 7, because they had time, they want to play, but they couldn't really use video games because the type of games that were available and the controls were too big. Those are 2 big non-customer groups. And so actually having your non-customers go through the buyer experience cycle. So having elderly people search, purchase, set up, and play video games, their pain points are enormous. And they're oftentimes the same as our core customer, but our core customer puts up with them. They would love it if they're gone, but they can't articulate what they are. So that's where we'll go deeper into that a bit later as well, of how to do that buyer experience audit. That's how we're bringing down pain points and bringing down cost. Visual exploration is the next stage, where the arrow goes up, because this is where we bring up value. This is the 6 paths framework. And generally speaking, we're going to go deeper later. Look at what are the alternatives that the elderly turn to instead of video games, or young people turn to instead of video games. Most importantly, why do they turn to them? So the what you turn to them, you're not going to get much information, but the why, the root utility, the principal utility of why they turn to them is what we're looking for. So the elderly, instead of playing video games, they would do gardening. Why? It's outdoors, it's fun, it's social. Elderly people still like to compete. Well, they like gambling, playing cards, board games. It's social, it's competitive, it's challenging. Why play golf? It's social, it's outdoors, it's active. So you start seeing patterns here. So this is a very generalized version of looking at, well, this is the what they're turning to. So on the left, it's the very young, and on the right, it's the elderly. And so these are generally speaking what they're turning to. And then the most important question is why? It's easy. I start seeing this pattern between these different alternatives. It's competitive. It's fun. It's social. It's active. And then we start taking these insights of what to eliminate and reduce, what to raise and create. And it comes to the value creation aspect. Now, here we're beginning with looking at, well, what's desirable? We found in our visual exploration what's desirable. It's got to be intuitive. You can just pick it up. It doesn't take much effort to learn. It's competitive. It's social. It's family friendly. So then moving from what's desirable, where you start, that's where you're creating utility. What's feasible? How can we do it? And how can we do it at for the price that we want to sell it for, and the cost structure to make money with? Well, went to actually old automobile parts, the infrared sensor bar, the thing that makes the sound go beep, 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 beep. The accelerometer, which slows your car down at a rate which isn't just screeching on the brakes. These are all invented in 1967, 1982, and the Bluetooth, the communication device. All of these are highly commoditized for very low price. Then it comes down to recombination. Given our non-customer insights, what can we eliminate and reduce to bring down the cost structure? So for our non-customers, they didn't need the graphics, the speed, the internet, the DVD. They needed less of it. They could still deal with it, but they needed less of it. And then the desirable factors, as we saw in the beginning, what's intuitive, fun, social. And then the launch. Well, this created the Nintendo Wii. Hated by the gaming community when it came out. It says old technology, the graphics are terrible, it's slow powered, but it is still to this date the biggest selling, as far as numbers, game console in the world. And Microsoft and Sony were losing about $200 for every console they sold. The Nintendo Wii was making $75, and plus the game sales on top of it. This will get down into how do they organize these insights. This is the ERC grid. So we ask, what do we eliminate? And these are the things that we just don't need. The market overvalues them. What do we reduce? This is what, well, we need them, but we can do less of it. What do we raise? So it's design aesthetics, available game titles. And what do we create? That motion, being able to pick up that wand. It's intuitive. You can just pick it up and you get what you need to do with it. Again, that's very low cost, old technology. And then adding on the family-friendly games. And so this is their 2B strategy canvas. You can see on the left, that's where they're saying no. So it means it's focused. They're saying no to these things. On the right, it's differentiated. It's either higher than the existing competition or it is completely new. So as we've seen, all of these aspects that we just talked about. And the last one is very, very important in your work going forward. It allows you to see what everybody else sees, but to think what nobody else has thought. No matter if you're a startup or incumbent company, ideas are inexpensive. Ideas are in front of us. Ideas are just looking at the world differently, seeing the principal utility levers across the entire market universe and recombining them. And so then, again, it's a big picture taste of the process we'll be going through. We're going to go through a small mini case just so you can start playing with the tools. Look forward to it.